Welcome to the next episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we look at all the film franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. I'm Justin Camps, and I am here with...
Elizabeth Helly.
And...
Tyler Hymanson.
And we are on to the next film in the American Tail series. Last episode we listened, we talked about An American Tail, the original. And this time, we're going to go ahead and dive right into An American Tail, Fievel Goes West.
Once upon a time, a little mouse made a big journey. But got lost along the way. He found a land of enchantment.
Mama!
A land of new beginnings.
What's that over there?
Well, that is more America.
Can we go see it?
Someday you will come true.
Now someday is today. As Steven Spielberg presents An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. The further adventures of the Mouskowitz family. As they meet old friends.
Get me out of here! Tiger!
Hi-ho!
And new enemies.
What do we have here? It appears to be a young pioneer.
From the mean streets of New York City.
I see you're missing an eye, Pilgrim. That's right. I'm talking to you.
To the wide open spaces where a young mouse can stand tall.
It's too tough, kid. Get out while you still can.
Where dreams can come true.
Someday I'll be a big star. Where's the girl you left behind?
All right, so this is the second of 4 movies, right, in the American Tail
Spoilers.
franchise?
Yes.
Well, we talked about that last episode, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
People want to know how many episodes there's going to be.
They want to know how much they're in for.
That's right. So this one is called An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. And let's give a little bit of background on this movie here. So first one comes out. It's a huge success, right? I'm pretty sure at the time it was like one of the most successful animated films.
Most successful non-Disney.
Okay,
animated
non-Disney.
film.
Okay, that's a pretty good caveat.
Was eventually beaten by Land Before Time.
Yes.
But yeah, most successful non-Disney animated film. Disney was shaking in their boots, you know.
Yeah.
So.
So that American Tail comes out, and Spielberg is like, holy shit, I need to make more of these goddamn movies. Even so much that what does he do?
He starts Amblimation with Fievel as the logo.
That's right. He starts his own dang company.
And I believe that this movie predates like Animaniacs and Tiny Toons and those things by like a year. So like this movie comes first, and then like those shows
Yeah,
come
actually, technically,
later.
so I was looking at Up Amblimation, and this was their first film. The big kickoff, there was actually lots of news reports and stuff about Spielberg starting his own animation house, and they were located in England, I believe. It wasn't a US-based
Sure.
animation company. And I'm pretty sure they made only 3 movies total and 2 TV shows, and I don't think that the TV shows you're talking about are included.
No, I think that Animaniacs and Tiny Toons were just straight up Warner Brothers.
Yeah, those were still Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg presents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they weren't part of Amblimation.
Well, let's get back to the movies that Steven Spielberg and Amblimation made, which is Fievel Goes West and American Tail.
Yes, that is the first movie they made. Funny story, when I was looking up Amblimation, they were actually planning to make a animated Cats movie.
Yeah, I saw that. The Andrew Lloyd Webber cat.
And it was in some of the news promotions for Fievel Goes West, but that never happened. That would have been also hilarious.
Would Tiger also be starring in that?
I hope so.
Potentially,
Tom DeLuise is in Cats.
I bet he would have made I guarantee he would have made
Animator's cameo where he's like in the background.
Yep, totally. So so American Tail, Fievel Goes West comes out 1991. It doesn't do as well as
Well, we'll talk about that after.
Doesn't do as well.
Let's go into the
Okay. Well, you guys want to?
Yeah, I think that on the surface it makes a lot of sense. We were talking about how in the framework of a franchise and setting up the things that we really liked in the original American Tail were taking this immigrant story, kind of giving it this fairy tale attitude, and going west is a continuation of that immigrant story. It's something that's not forced. It's not it does on paper, makes sense as the next step in a franchise.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know if we want to get into plot points just yet, but they weren't incredibly creative in terms of their motivations for going west.
Yeah, why don't we...
It kind of just throws out the first movie.
Why don't we dive into the movie? Here's a quick, very brief synopsis here on IMDb. A family of immigrant mice decide to move out to the west, unaware that they are falling into the trap perpetrated by a smooth-talking cat. And yeah, that's basically the movie.
That's basically it. I mean, the first, like, they start out with the movie. It starts with, like, there's a really fun, like, CG, like, dream sequence where Fievel is just messing people up.
Yeah, he is like, okay, within the first 2 seconds of the movie, he's shooting guns all over the place, killing cats with abandon.
Right. Which it seems like later on in the movie, like, I don't know if it was, I mean, this is also spoilers, but, like, that's the most violent it gets. It's like, I guess because it's a dream sequence, they can get as violent as it is, because it moves to slingshots afterwards.
Yeah.
I guess I was shocked that he was shooting. I mean, I don't have any of you guys seen this movie beforehand?
Yes,
I saw it as a kid, for sure. I mean, as I said in the previous episode, like, in my mind, it's Back to the Future 3. I didn't know the differences.
The main song, the Dreaming Dreams or whatever, that kind of came back to me as she was singing it, but other than that, I don't remember much.
Yeah, I remember seeing it as well, and I feel like I remember seeing commercials and stuff for this all over the place back in the day, because it was 1991, it would have been in elementary school. Seeing the stuff during Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that dream sequence is basically telling you, okay, Fievel lives in New York, and like most kids of that time, he's into these Western...
he happened upon a comic
books
book.
or stories, or heard actual human children reading Western books or stories, and he's totally into it now. He's into this character who's also a real person, Wiley Burp, the sheriff.
Well, yeah, because I think they showed that he was reading like some sort
of comic book,
basically a comic book, but kind of like a news.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a
news magazine. Kind of thing.
So he's totally into the whole Western thing, and the Mouskowitzes are not doing well financially.
Yeah, like they complain about like, oh, like I thought America was going to be way better. And it turns out there's no opportunity at all.
It looks like they're living, basically they're living in a box.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like they have a worse time than
the cats are still
they had
attacking,
in Russia.
Yeah, yes.
But probably the most important thing that we learn in the first few minutes is that the baby has now permanently reappeared. Fievel and Tanya's younger sister, Yasha, is now a permanent fixture in the family. She's no longer a little infant. She's got little... like Maggie Simpson or Michael from Peter Pan, footy pajamas, and she's there. She's in it for the whole movie this time.
She's there the whole movie, and Fievel loses track of her within the first 5 minutes.
Fievel does the exact Fievel has not learned a lesson.
He learned nothing from the first movie. It's
running
ridiculous.
off, dreaming dreams.
To the detriment of his parents as well, they learn nothing either.
Yeah,
they he's out there by himself. He's doing whatever he wants to do. I mean, this one's a little bit more difficult to talk about because, there was a great structure to the first one. I will say that the movie starts with, some great music by James Horner. There's some really fun Western stuff happening.
Yeah. The dream sequence is fun, but, immediately after the dream sequence, I believe Tanya is singing Somewhere Out
so
There.
I love that because she starts singing it again, and you're like, again? Why would they do this again? And then people start throwing vegetables at her. Yeah. They're like, shut up! And they're throwing tomatoes at her. And her family's not like, oh, don't worry, sweetie, you're a good singer. They're like, ha ha ha, why don't you get us some dinner?
Yeah, they're like, have them throw more stuff.
It seems like that's how they eat. It seems like they eat by, people throwing... they're throwing things, as if they can hear the mice.
Yeah, I think
it's other mice, maybe.
No,
but
it's
everyone
humans.
just wants her to, shut up.
No, it was humans.
It's humans.
Yeah, which is why I was going to say I had a question about that, because does that mean that the humans could hear her singing? Or were they hearing, squeaking noises?
Right. And it's but you think
it was definitely humans.
It's almost like mangy cat thing, and then the human thing, as we were talking about the previous in just the American Tale, that there's a lot more of the human world interceding with this smaller world, and I thought that it would go away, and by the end of this movie, it basically does.
Yeah, there's no humans.
There are, but they get phased out.
Yeah, the first part of the movie, it was funny. I actually had in my notes man, the animation's a lot worse, but I feel like it gets better actually as the movie goes on once they get like to the West. But the first like 10 minutes of the movie is very much like copying the style of the original film, because you can see, you know, there's kind of like the vignettes of like, oh, here's all the humans at the train station and they all look sad and they're kind of in the background, but the humans pretty much go away once they get to the
and so basically like we get there and they basically throw out like all the promise, no cats in America, everything that was young and exciting about not young and exciting, but just exciting about the first film. Like they're basically like, oh, like we messed up, like we should have stayed in Russia. Enter the most absurd plot point that any villain could ever throw together.
So it makes me so sad that these mice are so dumb, because in the first movie they fall for a cat dressed up as a rat, right? Which
but that was pretty.
That was more convincing.
We as an audience fell for it because it was extremely misleading.
This is like a whoosh, like an incredibly crappy wooden puppet with like visible strings that this evil guy named Cat R. Wall is controlling. Like
played by the
Pinocchio.
great John Cleese.
Yep,
doing some fun work. Like he is an interesting villain.
But the mice fall for this Carnival Barker, you know, wooden puppet saying, "Come to the West," you know.
Well, after these cats have decimated their neighborhood.
Basically Pogrom Part 2.
These like Western cats, all dressed up like they're from the West, appear in New York for some reason.
Right.
Because I guess there's no mice out in the West.
Right.
They got to convince all these dumb New York mice to come all the way out.
And we can get more into like what his actual plan is, because it doesn't make a lick of sense.
It's pretty stupid. And we learn also later that there are mice in the West. Right. The native mice.
Oh, yeah.
That I was hoping that I mentioned.
You speak of the mouse.
Let's hold on to that for a second. That's a whole nother problem.
That's a whole other thing.
All right.
So they've got this freaking Pinocchio mouse who's all like, "Come to the West! Hey guys, I got all these extra tickets on the train to the West. It's gonna be great!"
And the train is basically like a animal cracker box at the base of the caboose.
Yeah, like it's taped to the bottom of a train. So I think one big contrast too between these two movies. In the first one, they really showed that immigrants' journey into America. They're on the boat. They get separated. They go through immigration. This one, they do not show with the typical American journey, like, you know, it should have been a wagon.
Yeah, there's already a train heading out.
It should have been a journey in the wagon and, you know, dysentery, like, Oregon Trail type, like, you know, obviously great. Not to Oregon, you know, to the West, but, yeah, it was very just like, okay, just get on the train and get them there so we can start the, you know, this Western town stuff. Forget the journey, forget the experience. It's just very, like, let's get them there.
Yeah, so the mice all fall for this plan, even though as they're celebrating and like grabbing the tickets, Cat Arwal definitely goes like meow, like while they're there, and no one's like
this little like Carnival Barker act happens down in the sewers after they've all been chased, after the neighborhood's been destroyed,
right? And
then this Carnival Barker is like, cats are nice out west, like you don't have to worry about it.
So basically, they fall for the same thing. There's like. There's cats, but they're nice, or things will be better in the West.
And then they sing the same. Then they get on the train. Then they sing the same song.
Yes, with cameos by racial stereotypes.
Same Italian guy is like, yeah, we're going back.
Yeah. We have our first song on the train, and this song is, first of all, not very good.
Does it start with like a train chant, like go west?
Yeah, it's like west. Way out west.
Yeah,
way out
it's
west.
A total
way out west. Way out west.
Complete Casey Jr. ripoff.
The problem with it, like, once they get into the chorus, like, the music behind it actually sounds really good. Like, again, it was James Horner writing the songs, but, like, the way they recorded the vocals or something, it sounds like all the people singing on top of each other and really jumbled and also really fast, like... And so some of the times I'm like, I can't even tell what they're saying. But then once they get into the chorus, it's all like, I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun. But the song goes by in like 2 seconds, and then it's...
Well, it's really short, and it's actually really the only, like, traditional musical song in the movie. All the other songs are performances. This is the only one that's, like, of a musical where the characters like break out into song.
Well, yeah, that's true. I guess.
Where the first movie was a musical. This one is like a couple performances and this one musical number.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like splitting hairs.
We did skip past like one thing where like in that dream sequence he's like, "I'm Philly the Kid," which is the only time he says that.
That's true.
And then his buddy is gone. Like that character.
Is he though?
Is he?
So let's get to so
I would say for all intents and purposes he's gone.
Yeah, no. But let's get to okay.
I apparently there's like a conspiracy theory I don't know about.
Well, I don't know if you guys watched the movie, but I definitely saw him in the movie.
It's like a reuse of animation situation.
He's there.
Yeah.
But anyways, okay, so they're all on the train. Everyone's there except for Tiger, who again is back. Tiger is back, played by Dom DeLuise.
Oh, we also get a scene where his girlfriend breaks up with him to go west.
Yeah, Tiger, Tiger's girlfriend, played by Amy Irving, as like the alley
like
cat with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She sounds exactly like Slappy Squirrel from that movie.
Yes. She leaves ahead of them, and then Tiger comes back and has missed the Moskowitz is leaving.
They left him a note because apparently they can write in a font that's large enough for Tiger to read.
Yep. And then he tries to catch the train, and he gets bounced around, and he gets scared by like 7 dogs.
Yep.
And then he gets on he's on their train, but he lands in the dog car or something, right?
Well, like he goes through this really like Looney Tunes type sequence that feels uncharacteristic. Like it's one of those things that's completely out of character with the first movie.
But this is like the whole movie is like
but it's yes, absolutely correct. It's the first taste of like, oh well, this is wildly different. Like it feels more like an Animaniacs, Tiny Toons type wacky comedy thing where he's falling from 200 feet, getting bounced around like a pinball. It makes pinball noises, and then these things happen. Like it's like this movie's setting a different tone, which jars with. As we were saying earlier, that the animation style was trying to make it fit with the previous movie.
Right.
So it's kind of this really strange, like we're watching like a Looney Tunes movie now.
Yeah. He bounces from the trains, lands in the water, and what's in the water? A dogfish.
Which is horrifying.
I was really upset with this movie because I was trying to count all the like cat puns, and I just had to give up. Too many cat puns, and then later there's dog puns.
It's not even that there's just a dogfish. Dom DeLuise goes, dogfish.
Yeah. And then the very next thing, he's getting caught with a bunch of catfish that actually go meow, meow, meow.
Yeah.
That dogfish was terrifying, by the way. It looked like the radioactive fish from The Simpsons. Like, it was very frightening.
Blinky is a national treasure. And there's nothing terrifying about him. Sure. Let him into your heart.
Yeah. So let's just skip to them getting to the West. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to do that, but Fievel does the same shit where he leaves and he's like, like in the first one he's like, I want to see the fishes, and I guess he doesn't say this. I guess he wants to go see the cows. I guess
rest of the train.
Yeah.
He overhears the evil plan.
Well, so he leaves his family's area for no reason.
Yeah.
Like does a harrowing thing across the undercarriage of the train. Gets to the cow car, where all of these cats, the main cat being voiced by Jean Cleese, are playing cards, and they're playing cards as a device so they can unveil their evil plan.
That's right.
Which is dumb as shit.
Yeah, what is his evil plan?
His evil plan is to have the mice come out west and help him build his town.
And really, though, I think it's only to build the saloon. Like, it's not even the whole town.
Right.
They're gonna build a saloon, and then we're gonna make them into mice burgers, right?
Mouse burgers.
Mouse burgers.
Mouse burgers.
Now, we can't just eat them, wholesale like they did before. That was a New York thing. Now that you're going out west, you gotta, grind them up and make them into a patty before you eat them.
Yeah. This was the really gross scene where he's like slathering butter all over.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And he's doing like a compelling like villain thing.
Eat that butter.
Yeah. Where he's saying like oh, I want to eat you so bad, but he's like but I'm so civilized. A smart man wouldn't do this. And he's like, oh, but you're so delicious. He's like, oh, but a good businessman would never do that.
Yeah.
And he does do something that's genuinely kind of terrifying. What is it, the flying R's? What they call it. part.
Oh, yeah.
Of where he lets Fievel go because he says, "Oh well, a baby mouse. Like I can't let him know our plan, but they'll be looking for him, so we'll let him go. It'll be fine." And he makes it seem like he's kind of a good guy, and then Fievel, like a dumb fuck, is like, "Thanks, Mr. Cat. Like you're the best." And then they send a spider who's wearing 8 different cowboy boots, voiced by John Lovitz, out underneath a chain then he calls everybody out. Like, the John Cleese goes, "Mouse overboard." I think he says mouse overboard.
Yeah.
A train.
On a train.
Yeah.
And then this spider, like, is underneath the chain and then throws Fievel off the train so that everybody sees him get thrown off the train so he doesn't disappear, which is actual villain shit. Like, that is a good plan.
That's true.
Which is why it's so upsetting that his actual plan sucks so much.
Well, yeah, and I just want to mention that the spider is named T.R. Chula, which, you know, since there's already so many racial stereotypes in this movie, they should have just made him Hispanic. Like, they should have just got Cheech, and he could have been like, "It's me, Chula," you know? Like, I don't know. Instead, we got John Lovitz.
Yeah, racial stereotypes aside, the puns are the thing that's killing me.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, we forgot to mention that when it's decided that the family's going to go out west, Fievel performs some kind of black magic and takes his hat and, like,
Oh, his hat is magical.
Hat magically reverses itself into a white cowboy hat.
Right.
And he wears it like that for the rest of the movie.
That was so unbelievable.
I guess I can't make. I was about to do like a Westworld joke, but I guess I shouldn't get into Westworld spoilers on a.
No, don't do it. We'll get emails.
Oh, like a white hat?
Yeah. You know where I was going. Yeah. You know where I was going with this.
So they get to the west.
They get to the west. Fievel gets stranded again.
Oh yeah, so he's like now just like in the desert wandering around.
Yeah. Like,
and it's so funny because the family's reaction, the mom is pretty much the same reaction, like, "Oh, my baby, blah, blah, blah." And the dad's like, you know what? He'll catch up just like he always does.
Well, because he remembers from the last movie that he found his way there.
Yes, but this, again, seems like quite a stretch. And the sister, she didn't even say anything this time.
Yeah, she's too worried about her music career.
Yeah. And
it's really weird. Like there's a weird,
care.
like her subplot is really shoehorned in and clumsily handled.
I liked that Tanya had her own story this time.
I love that she has her own story.
But it's a dumb story.
No. I just hate her family reactions to it.
She has all the good songs.
We should mention that, like, when she's getting onto the train, there's some actors like rehearsing and they're doing Shakespeare things, and then like the parents are like, "You don't want to associate with them.
Don't talk to those lower types." Yeah, she says something like that.
Yeah, she says something.
She says something. "You don't need to associate with people less fortunate than us."
Yes.
It's like, oh fuck.
Well, yeah, it's kind of weird too because her dad is clearly a musician, so it's like, what is the problem with her wanting to sing? But oh well,
it's not clear.
Yeah.
But so where we're at when the first act basically wraps up is that Tiger and Fievel are stranded in the desert.
God.
Somewhere in the desert. And the Moskowitzes have made it to, out west to Green River. Mm-hmm. State indiscriminate, but it's Green River. And they get there and they're already disappointed.
So what I was going to say before, we were talking about everyone getting off the train. Mm-hmm. The mice get off the train, and they immediately all go and run and find houses. Like,
they just jump in some trash.
Yeah, they're just like,
"Here's
this
is my house now.
Here's a shoe. Here's a toilet roll. Oh, God." And then in that scene, they show Tony Taponi and his wife running in and grabbing one of the houses and putting out a sign that says, "Home Sweet Home." And it definitely is the same exact drawings of those mouse.
Yeah, but I really don't take that as canon. Like, I take that the same way that like Belle's walking in the street while Quasimodo's singing, or Hercules has
but that's not even in the. But this is different.
Blanket.
This is different because this is the same franchise. And so I think it's, instead of having those characters actually in the movie, the animators put in like a nice little thing like, "Oh, they're actually still there. They came along. They came along because it seemed like all the mice in that town."
So Fievel has grown up none at all.
Nope.
And Tony is of marrying age.
Yeah.
And Fievel's like Tony, you're dead to me.
Yeah.
Like, you got a wife? Like, we're not hanging out anymore.
That's right.
He's like, "Tiger's my best friend now."
That's right.
Yeah.
We're gonna be
That's all there is
bachelors
to it.
in
We
the
don't even talk to each other. We're on the same train, not talking to you.
Exactly. Cutting him out of the movie.
You're out.
You're out.
I didn't notice that, but
I took it down in my notes because I was
that
like,
makes a lot of sense.
pretty sure.
I think it's somewhere in between. I think it's somewhere in between. I think it's a reuse of animation and probably a nice throwaway that they didn't think about that people would be watching these back to back and have an issue with it.
Yeah,
but we do.
So let's get into what I think is one of the most horrifying things in this movie.
Sure.
So like you guys said, Tiger and Fievel are wandering the desert now.
Yep.
Somehow they're both in the desert.
Yep.
And like any good desert film, people stuck in the desert, you start to see mirages, right?
Yeah.
So of course, first thing Fievel sees is like
his family.
His family off in the distance, and they're all like, Fievel.
Because mirages sound like ghosts. It is established.
And he's doing
optical illusions.
He's doing his thing.
Also have reverb effects.
That's right. They're like getting closer. He gets closer, and he goes, Papa, or no, he says like Mama, and hugs the mom, and like you see all the Moskowitz family. They look normal, and then a second later, they all start to melt in these horrifying. Like,
no, it's this horrible, like deforming, like Salvador Dali type animation. And then stretch out. Like they melt and then stretch and then they're cacti.
And he goes, Youch!
Yeah.
Like he didn't notice he was hugging
a cactus.
A cactus beforehand.
I don't know why I said that.
But I rewatched that scene a million times and even tweeted out a photo of it because it was so terrifying. Because their faces look creepy.
There's another thing that I found more terrifying in the movie, but we'll get to it when it comes up.
Okay.
And then Tiger's also wandering, and I think he sees a mirage of the Miss Kitty.
Of Miss Kitty.
Yeah. But then they both see a mirage of each other.
Well, do they?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They think it's a mirage of each other, and they just walk right by.
Oh no! So Fievel and Tiger.
Yeah.
Like they see each other, and then they're like, "Hey, Mirage, Tiger. Hey, Mirage, Fievel."
That was like the saddest part.
Yeah, and then they just pass each other.
I thought it was going to be one of those things where they pass each other, but then right when they get past each other, they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's not a mirage." They didn't. They just kept walking and
they do a double take.
Yeah. So
Tiger keeps walking right along until he runs into some very interesting mice.
Interesting.
Who wants to tackle this one?
Well, I just want to say that I did call
the
this
Snyder
my
family
prediction.
wants to tackle this one.
That's terrible.
I did say that I hoped the second movie would, explain about the native field mice and their plight. We didn't quite get that, but we did
This is exactly what it
native
is.
field mice.
I'm right that they are the Mousehekins, correct?
They actually say that?
I believe so.
I don't remember that, but maybe.
Yeah.
It's just, they're the most stereotypical, Indian, Native American.
They do everything that you would imagine.
They say how, and they do the...
Tiger says how.
I don't even want to do it because it's so racist, but the palm in front of the mouth.
Tiger's first line to them is, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, why?
It was so bad. And then I actually looked it up to figure out what the name of this trope is, because I was like, it's got to have a name. It's the God Guys trope, where somebody is mistaken as God by a primitive tribe and either uses it to their advantage or, something like that.
The gods must be crazy.
Yeah.
So
they're like feeding him all this food.
They think he's a god, Tiger.
Yeah, they think Tiger's a god.
And they think it's this bit, and maybe this is because I grew up in the desert, but it's like this bit where they're feeding him all these vegetables, and it's great, and you see him like eating all these vegetables, and it's supposed to be funny, and I'm like, he's eating all of their food. They're gonna die.
They're in the desert, but they have like a giant pumpkin.
It's not like they have like a massive storehouse of like. There's not plenty. Like, they have to scavenge and move. I'm thinking way too much about the actual plight of these.
They seemed fine with it.
Mice.
They seemed fine with it.
But it was not. It was terrible.
Anyways, so Fievel then comes upon the tribe, right?
And he gets captured by a hawk. They shoot the hawk down with fireworks.
Yeah, why do they have fireworks?
I don't know.
Because anybody knows that Indian reservations sell fireworks.
It's just because they didn't want to show them with like flaming arrows or something? Or...
I mean, we already had guns earlier.
No,
on,
they could have just given them flaming arrows.
Why would they do
It is the awful thing that Indian reservations sell
really?
fireworks.
I don't even know.
Probably,
that
and fireworks look cooler in the animation. I don't know.
But no,
anyways, they shoot it down with fireworks.
The reason I will say that the thing that is cool about and it is a cool looking scene is that they have Tiger like hung up on a spit. They're gonna cook him or whatever, and there's a rock formation that looks just like him, and so that's why they take him down, do the whole thing, and then they climb up this rock formation to shoot down this hawk for indiscriminate reasons. I mean, I guess it makes sense that like they don't want the hawk to be around.
I mean, the hawk would also attack them,
right? Yeah,
mice,
so it kind of makes sense. And then so Fievel gets dropped.
He gets dropped and lands in like a thing of water, and then immediately like Tiger picks up whatever he's on and puts it in his mouth and starts eating him.
I forgot. This is relatively horrifying.
Yeah, and like I think one of my favorite lines in the movie. I marked this down. Like Fievel is inside his mouth, and the first thing he says he goes, "Oh no, I'm in a mouth." And I had to pause the movie because I was laughing so hard. Because he says it so earnestly, like,
"Oh no, I'm in a mouth."
I'm in a mouth. Yeah, he grabs onto the uvula and makes Tiger, cough him out or whatever.
Yeah.
But they talk to each other, and Fievel's like, I gotta go, keep going out west. And Tiger is, even though he knows his girlfriend's out there, he's like, I'm just gonna stay here and keep eating. I don't want to be rude to these guys.
I don't know if he knows for a fact that his girlfriend's in Green River.
I don't think he knew.
Does he?
Yeah.
I thought she said
I think
that.
she was
No. She says she's just leaving out west.
Okay,
Like, I don't think that he knows for a fact that she's in Green River.
Yeah.
And it's only, I mean, that's later.
But still, rather than accompanying his child best friend to find his family, he says, I'm just going to stay here.
Fievel's like, I gave up Tony to Pony for this?
Yeah. And then Fievel's like, well, how am I going to get there? And he's like, I've got an idea. Go buy, wait, what is it called again?
It's a tumbleweed.
It's a tumbleweed, but he calls it something
a
hilarious.
stagecoach.
Stagecoach,
Yeah,
yes.
oh, right.
It's a stagecoach.
Which is
not a tumbleweed.
Not a tumbleweed at all.
I was just trying to block all puns out of my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the Fievel like hops on a tumbleweed and it blows him right directly into town.
To the sounds of Rawhide.
Yeah, there's a fun sequence with the Blues Brothers, Rawhide.
Rolling.
Yeah.
I think
where all the
the
rabbits are like singing the song.
Yeah, all the animals get into it, and he just.
Have you never seen Blues Brothers?
I mean, not when I was 7.
Oh, I thought you meant just now is the first time. No.
That's the first time I heard that song in my lifetime.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, how is that the first time you heard that song?
Oh my god.
You're losing.
So anyways, he gets there.
Well, I think that there's an interesting thing before what was happening in Green River is that like the Moskowitzes are like they're standing there, wherever else is like grabbing up every piece of real estate, and then Papa Moskowitz is like, we might not be fast, but we work smarter, and then they get a house underneath the water, and then Shula blocks up this water tower with a cork, which like doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, because that's bad. Isn't it good? Like, because they should want to save the water in the tower.
But like the
mice want it to like leak out everywhere.
Yeah, Papa has this crazy fantasy about the water touching the ground and turning. everything.
Papa wants he thinks Green River. Peter Gabriel's going to come sing a song, and it's going to be the end of Wall-E. That's what he wants to happen.
He thought Green River was going to be a literal Green River.
Oh,
Man, he's so dumb.
He's super dumb. So they end up when they live in a tin can, and it's worse. And so you think there's going to be this water subplot that's the only scene where it has any importance at all.
Until later. But so yeah, then Fievel
all of a sudden he's back
because he takes the stagecoach.
And they're like, "Oh great, you're back! Cool."
There's a thing that it made me so angry when he comes back, and it's the same thing that we were pissed about in the first one, where like he's dancing around and like he's right there, and his family doesn't see him. In this one, they do it they do the same dumb bit where like two dudes are carrying a pane of glass, right? Like we're guys carrying a pane of glass, but
it's foggy.
But this pane of glass is filthy.
Yeah.
And so he sees his family and then like wipes a hole in this this apparently fresh pane of glass that they're going to put up somewhere because that's where they're carrying it. Wipes it, like the guy stopped moving, I guess, so that he can wipe a hole in it and then sees his family through it.
At least he finds his family like immediately.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's true. But it's like, it's one of those,
he doesn't like wipe the glass and go, nope, still not my parents.
Just more cacti.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's kind of good that they went with a different plot rather than, well, he's lost again for the whole movie and that's the plot. Like, this time he just kind of got miniature lost, like, 2 times.
For a third of the movie, it's the same plot.
Yeah, but I don't know if it would have been better if it was Lost was the whole thing
I'm
again.
not
like
saying that. I'm saying
Bound 1 and 2. You know, like did they really get lost again?
Yeah.
Anyways, but so they're all reunited and they're all happy again, and then we see Tanya we find out that Miss Kitty has been brought there by Cat R. Wall to perform at the saloon, and she's mad about something.
Yeah, we see the mice are building the saloon, and then we go inside the saloon and see all the cats are in there. And
they're trying to suppress their urges to eat the mice burgers.
The one cat kisses a mouse and like starts freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, he's like, he stumbles into John Cleese. He's like, I can't do it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do it anymore.
And there's like a cat doctor in there who's like, yes, we're going to build the mouse.
Who was like a Strange Love ripoff, who's also ends up being like the same voice as this is like all my Animaniacs nerdery.
I thought that too.
But he sounds like he's like the Animaniacs psychiatrist.
Yeah, Dr. Scratch.
And we learn
Dr. Scratches.
The whole movie, I was wondering exactly how many mice it takes to make a mouse burger, and according to the drawing, it takes 3.
3 mice.
Also, they don't grind them into a burger; they just put them in a burger bun,
bread, and call it a burger.
and that's it.
So, like, this is the weird thing too, where
burger,
when they get to the town, you see like 3 human people outside the town. Then you get inside the saloon, which is built at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, they're currently building it. Yeah,
but like, it's pretty much built.
Yeah, pretty much built.
And it's cat scaled.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily make sense. Like, so the mice have built a cat scaled.
I know.
saloon.
So there's several times in the movie where I was like, okay, this cat is. First of all, they all stand on their hind legs, and there's a couple times where I'm like, the cat looks like he's about human size,
right?
So
and he's wearing clothes.
Maybe I'm giving it way too much credit, but maybe. By the fact that the town is so deserted, and the fact that they take a train and not a covered wagon, maybe we're supposed to think that it's a ghost town already.
Because the most horrifying thing in the movie to me is when Cat R. Wall jumps up through the floorboards, there's people in the saloon, and then he ends up in like
boobs.
like very animated boobs, and a woman just going pussy, pussy, pussy.
No, she was like
pussy. Oh, pussy.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
And it's just boob overlap.
She grabs him and immediately
5 animators had to do that.
Yeah,
and you don't see her face.
Well, and then
it's not even a joke. Like, it's just like, why is this happening?
I forgot.
I need
a
cat in my boobs immediately.
Yeah, that saloon is like bumping, but then the rest of the time the town is completely deserted.
Right.
Well, they ran out of animation budget for people.
Yeah.
All right, so okay, forget it. I gave them way too much credit.
I love. I see in your notes here just pussy. Because it's weird.
She doesn't say like. She comes back later, but. Later she says pussy poo or something. This one she literally is just saying
no
pussy.
I'm
gonna keep saying it. I guess
Miss Kitty calls him pussy poo.
Yeah, but and then
later the same woman, like, they bring it back and it was like, yep, you remember that thing that was weird? It was totally fine. And we're doing it again.
Oh god. Okay, so
now we get to the Tanya.
Tanya, she's painting with gold and just wasting it everywhere, but she's supposed to be painting the letters on the pane of glass. But she's
I did not notice it was gold.
I didn't notice that at all.
It's like this gold
you're right.
paint, and she's like dancing around, and it's like going on the fairy tale book and animating it.
Oh, right.
So she's just like in her own little world, singing and dancing, and
she has an amazing voice.
Mr. Cat R. Wall comes up like an incredibly, just weird, creepy. Pedophilic, like Lolita, Phantom of the Opera situation where he's like, her singing is so beautiful. And because his hand is about the size of her, he puts his hand behind her and she starts dancing with his hand. Like, kind of like, I think they wanted it to be cute, like a Sleeping Beauty, I'm dancing with the clothes, but now it's a prince. But it was creepy as hell. So she starts dancing with the cat's hand and she's just fantasizing and she like crawls into his hand and he carries her all the way back to the saloon, to the dressing room where Miss Kitty is, before she, like, comes out of her trance. And she's like, oh, I'm in the saloon with cats. Like, what happened? But it's incredibly creepy the way that he is, like, into her.
And it's even more creepy because we've seen what a creep he is. And Fievel knows what a creep he is. When he meets up with his family, he says, oh man, like, Tiger's a god, and, like, says a bunch of crazy nonsense, but then also tells them exactly what the cat's plan are.
Yeah.
And they're like, silly Fievel.
You're
Like,
just a
don't
stupid-
worry about it.
stupid
Like,
kid.
And then cut to Tanya doing... That's the context that whole creepiness happens under. It would be creepy in a vacuum.
Yeah.
It is creepy knowing that he is trying to kill her entire family.
Yeah. So he takes her back and, like, you know, Miss Kitty kind of takes her under her paw, as it were.
Yeah.
Well,
Paints her up like a whore and, like, puts heavy makeup on her, and then they
Now
throw
she's
her out there
beautiful.
on the stage.
Well, well, the one thing I'll say is that what she does say is, like, always remember that, like, the woman is not the person, like, on the mask, the person is inside. Like Miss Kitty does, like, she's caring.
legit. Yeah.
Like Miss Kitty, like, that's Tiger's girlfriend. Seems like that she's been swindled a little bit too in coming out here. She's not happy. She treats Cat our Wall like she can handle him. Like she puts him away and then softens for Tanya, thinks that she has a talent and tries to take care of her in a way. Like it's not as predatory.
Yeah.
And it kind of works in that way. And Cat our Wall, to play into his character, the reason that he wants her there is that he was auditioning other singers, right? And he was like, there's not enough good singers.
that same opera singer that they were
terrible
making
actor-
fun of.
actor-
Right, yeah. And so he's like, this is not befitting of my intellect, and he thinks that Tanya is
like she's
special in that way.
his muse, you know.
Right.
So then she gets on stage and she immediately sings like a bumpin' western.
This was my favorite song.
Which
it's a
we've
great song.
only heard her sing these like sappy
Yeah.
ballads, and then she all of a sudden.
But it's
is,
like this kind of like dun,
this
dun, dun,
vaudeville.
dun.
It's almost a Dolly Parton song. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
really
like
good.
a golden horseshoe.
It's like a foot stomping.
can
And all the cats
situation.
are like into it. They're all singing, and that was my favorite song. Actually,
It's actually like it starts out there, and it's like she has stage fright. She's scared, and Miss Kitty kind of gives her the confidence.
she's like,
and, like
somewhere.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
not that song. Not that song.
But it's played with some real emotion, and you're rooting for her, but. The problem with that scene is that it's independent of the entire movie, where it's saying, like, she's chasing fame. Like, they're trying to shame her for doing what she's doing. And then, like, one of the best scenes in the movie is when she succeeds at this.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, her arc is her rejecting this.
Yeah. Well,
That's the insane thing about it. Is
That's
one of the
true.
more enjoyable songs is under the pretense of it being gross and weird, and no one else in the movie wants it to happen.
Yeah.
So, Fievel also happens to be in there while she's singing. He's being chased around by...
John Lovitz is trying to cook him in a bottle, right?
He confronts what's his face? Cat our Wall again, and Cat our Wall is like, screw you, whatever. And
He kind of gets distracted by Tanya.
Yeah. And then the spider is chasing him around while she's singing.
Which is super weird because, like, she's right there.
Yeah,
and everyone in the saloon is trying to kill Fievel.
Yeah, and
she's too into her own career, like I said.
Yeah,
He tries
exactly.
to tell her, like, we gotta get out of here, he's a bad guy, and she's like,
She's like, fuck off, I got a singing voice now.
Yeah, I'm famous.
I'm a new actress in this
so
movie, I've got a better
Yeah.
singing voice.
So Fievel leaves and he's all dejected. No one will listen to me. Everyone's gonna die tomorrow at sundown, I guess is when
Yeah.
this is all about.
Right, because then we hear Cat Our Wall's plan, because Fievel comes back. Fievel has an amazing penchant to stumble in when Cat Our Wall's telling people exposition.
Yeah.
Well, and he, like, all this trouble they went to get these mice here, it really just only takes like 2 days to build the saloon.
It doesn't
And then they're
make
like, let's eat 'em.
makes
Yeah,
no
yeah.
fucking sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys, listeners out there, remember earlier in the movie, we were talking about how Fievel was obsessed with Wiley Burp.
Oh, yeah.
He's so obsessed, and now
Who's a
we're
dog, by the way?
now we're 53 minutes into an hour and 14-minute movie.
Yes.
And finally, as Fievel wanders out of the saloon, all sad, he runs into Wiley Burp. Right at almost at the end of the movie. He hasn't been in like the whole movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he finally runs back into him.
So, Wiley
Voiced by
Burp-
Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart.
Have we even mentioned this?
Yeah, no, voiced by the great Jimmy Stewart. Maybe that's why he's not in it, because they couldn't fucking
Voiced
afford
by
him.
the sleeping Jimmy Stewart. James Stewart.
Well, and so when they find him,
He is like
He
like,
sounds
was
like he's asleep.
Like, it sounds like he did it from a hospital
Yeah.
bed.
it really does,
This
but
is-
he still manages to like somehow put more emotion than
yeah.
any actor.
It's
in this
fucking
entire
Jimmy
movie.
Stewart, like,
It's
of course.
fantastic.
This was actually his last role before he died.
All right, I feel terrible now. All right, now I feel awful.
No, but it's so great because as soon as he starts talking, you're like, oh gosh, like I care about this dog. But
Yeah.
he's washed up, so he's not the hero that Fievel remembered. And we don't. This is kind of what I wish they had explored a lot more. Like, why is he washed up? Why is he a drunk?
It's more like he's old, so there.
And Fievel's been talking about, like, so even to Cadar Wall, like, Fievel's like, Wiley Burp, and then Cadar Wall's like, Wiley Burp, like, I'm the law out here.
Yeah, he's a
and it's
nobody.
like, and it doesn't, like, it kind of makes it seem like that he's, like, they're in league, or, like, he's bought him off somehow.
No, I think he's like, he's a drunk, old, useless
He just
guy.
doesn't care.
He doesn't
Right.
care, yeah. So, Fievel's chutzpah convinces Wiley Burp to help him. And he says, I gotta train someone to act like a dog in order to save everyone. And Fievel's like, well, I can't do it. I'm too small. But let me go get Tiger and you can train him to be like a dog.
No. It's another pun.
I mean, basically.
It's another pun because he says, I don't know a dog, but I do know a god. Is the line that he says.
Oh, no.
Jimmy Stewart's like, I'm too
But
doggone
it does say that too. It does. I mean, it's a good scene between Fievel and Wiley,
Yeah.
and they also spend a ton of money on Wiley Burp's burps. They're like these gross 3D animated, like, noxious green clouds.
Yeah.
So then they convince Tiger just to move things along. And now it's like this whole training montage.
Right.
Basically of Wiley Burp teaching Tiger to be a dog.
Yeah.
So I get that he wants to train him so that they can beat the cats in battle, but, like, why does he have to be trained to be like a dog?
Because they wouldn't think he was scary otherwise. He's just another cat. They're not scared of cats.
I guess, but it's just so, like, weird that we, like, need to train this cat to be a dog.
Also because what do kids think is funny? Things trying to be something they're not.
Yeah.
Especially a goofy cat trying to act like a dog, which I actually thought was pretty funny. And, during this whole sequence, I was thinking, like, okay, I think, like, if I was a kid, I would have thought this was, like, the funniest shit. Because, it's basically Tiger making a fool out of himself, trying to be a dog, and then Fievel in the scene laughing his ass off the whole time.
Fievel's he's like, my friend's so funny. He's like, my whole family's gonna die. I know for a fact.
It's just him laughing at Tiger, which is probably what I would have been doing too, and it was actually really kind of charming and cute.
It's one of the better sequences in the movie.
I don't know, but I will say that the music in this part was really good.
Well,
at first I was like, is this a Cowboys? But it was like...
It's a total ripoff of Hoedown by Aaron Copeland.
Yeah. And then
it's a complete ripoff.
I like the part where he meshes it with, like, the Papa theme.
Right.
In the Western, So that was kind of cool.
And... there's this really, it kind of like builds, and he's like, oh, he's learning to be a dog. And then there was kind of this cool shot of them like kicking open this door, and then they're all decked out in their sheriff outfits.
It's cool. And like there's a really cool, I want to mention just like as a technical thing of like, one of the main components of this is teaching Tiger how to bark. And they do it in a mine shaft, and there's this echoey thing. And there's this really cool, and the movie does a lot of things with particle effects that become very big in animation later on. Mm-hmm. But like with the burp, the reason that Fievel can convince Tiger to come out isn't because, hey, you're my best friend. Like my family's gonna die. It's like, hey, I have some of your girlfriend's perfume in my hat.
Yeah.
And like her perfume becomes like kind of like the succubus like
I've got
form
the seductive perfume.
Yeah. But that animation is extremely cool and awesome.
Yeah.
And so there's some light shaft animation, and it's something that you haven't seen a lot of focusing on those more natural particle dynamic effects.
Yeah. So they get them all trained up, and now they're ready to frickin' walk into town and have a showdown. And they like get to the edge of town and then just like kind of like do this short like step, 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 and then everyone else is just like, oh shit, yeah. They're like, oh, they're doing the showdown walk. We better get out of town. And they slowly walk like that into town. But as they get closer, they see that all of the mice are getting loaded into the top of the saloon, which is a mousetrap.
Okay, so all the mice are in these bleachers, and the front platform is the mousetrap, and they somehow don't see it.
It's because they're
dumb.
too like
so
excited
stupid.
about Cat
Oh my
Arwal's
God.
speech or whatever.
Especially like even the Moskowitzes where Fievel was like, this is what's happening.
Yeah, so like Cat
He's gonna
Arwal
cut the
starts
ribbon.
his speech,
Yeah.
right? And there's like the tension's building, like, oh my god, you see that the ribbon that he's gonna cut to like inaugurate the saloon or inaugurate the town, is like attached to the mousetrap, and that's going to set up the trap. And there's this hilarious scene where they're like, is he gonna cut it? And they keep cutting back to all the different reactions, and you get like Tanya, who's like, and it keeps cutting to the Moskowitz family, and they're so excited, like their faces are just like, yeah. It cuts back to them twice, like what? Do it.
We're recording this in June of 2017, and I found this to be relatively terrifying. Of like a real estate person and a red ribbon, like cutting a thing. And like all these dumb mice being like, yeah, like it's gonna be great, yes. And it's just like, oh, this hurts too true. It hurts too true.
Yeah, and then out of nowhere, someone shoots the freaking giant scissors out of his hands.
Not with a gun. Yeah. Even though we've seen guns in this movie,
but with a slingshot.
Slingshot.
That's how you say it. Slingshot.
And
so they use their slingshots?
Everybody only has slingshots. I'm not going to say it like that.
No, because
except for Cat Arwal with a gigantic gun, which someone's like,
comes out of nowhere. Comes out of nowhere.
We got to pay attention to scale now, apparently. So the gun's gigantic, and Cat
Arwal that's what that. I didn't even realize that's what was happening.
Yeah,
I wasn't thinking how dumb it is because that's the one time that they cared about scale.
Yes.
So he's using a human gun.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a big gun.
Oh wait,
is that handgun?
So wait, that's why Fievel had the dream sequence.
I don't know. That makes
because then he has a pop gun after that, so it's a mouse-sized pop gun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Cat Arwal has a giant gun,
so
which is a regular human handgun, but they're like kind of putting it on this like pulley thing to point it around.
Yeah, it's almost like a mounted like gun on a ship or something.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
So some of the fighting ensues, but then like suddenly, everyone, they're all surrounded. But we see there's another hilarious moment that happens that might have topped the whole in his.
Are you gonna sing it though?
I can do it. Yeah.
Okay, please.
So this whole time, Miss Kitty and Tanya have been sitting above everyone on the roof for some reason, and from that vantage point, they somehow can suddenly realize that it's a mousetrap. And Miss Kitty's like, "Oh my god, it's a mousetrap!" And then Tanya, out of nowhere, like 1 minute
teleports.
Well, yeah, 1 minute she's on the roof with Miss Kitty. Second, teleports. She's on the back of the mousetrap,
with all the people.
Yeah, all the people are still standing there, like, "What's happening?" And repeal
Obamacare.
Cut the rope. And she stands there and she goes, "Oh, say, can you see? You're on a mousetrap." And then, as soon as that happens, everyone's like, "Holy shit! What the fuck? We're on a mousetrap! Oh my god!" And I was just like, that was another point. I had to stop the movie, watching it by myself, laughing because it was so dumb.
It's the worst. It's insane.
You're on a mousetrap.
Okay, next time we go to a ball game or something, we're singing that. We have to go. Oh, say, can you see? That you're on a
mousetrap, baby.
It was too funny.
But it was just like, so I want to give her credit and say that her plan was to sing the direction to all the mice so that the cat wouldn't immediately shut.
Get the fuck out of here! It's a mousetrap! What are you doing? Why do I have to sing 3 bars of nonsense? You gotta leave! We're all gonna die!
Because when he hears her singing and he realizes that she's down there, he says, "Don't set off the mousetrap, my muse is on there and we can't kill her." For some reason. So that I want to say that's why she decided to sing.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't know. But
he actually does react that way,
the thing that I hate about it is that you see Miss Kitty up there, like, as she's teleporting. You see they're next to each other, she teleports.
Yeah.
Then Miss Kitty's like, "Oh my god, it's a mousetrap. It's a mousetrap." She says it like 5 times, even though we've heard the plan 4 times already.
We get it. There's going to be mouse burgers. Okay. So everyone, they get off the mousetrap. The next thing that happens, I think, is Chula somehow grabs Miss Kitty and is all like, "I'm gonna drop her off this roof."
Yeah, because this spider can hold a cat.
Yeah, totally.
Wait, I think you forgot when Tiger and Wiley are being surrounded by the cats, and there's
the lazy eye.
It's some Quick and the Dead stuff. There's a cool shootout with this
lazy eye. We did not talk about
you gotta give him the lazy eye
because
one of the main moves.
Because it was dumb. Okay, I was trying to skip.
For some reason,
the one thing that can stop them is the thing we established 3 minutes before.
So the main move Wiley teaches Tiger is the lazy eye, which is really not lazy because it looks very labor intensive.
Basically,
it's like a Tex Avery Wolf ogling a female.
Yeah.
Like that's what
Their
it
eyes
is.
pop out.
I think it's basically just a way to give yourself a seizure. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happens, kind of.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It makes
you guys don't watch The Bachelorette, but for anybody who does, it's basically like the waboom guy where you're like, this person is injuring themselves horribly by doing
Yes.
this. You know what? I'm tuning for my fans.
No waboom.
Screw you guys. Screw you guys. Okay. So,
Only Leon likes the waboom guy.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't like it either.
We did it.
Okay, so they like
scare all the cats away, but then you realize that the
right.
Chula is holding Miss Kitty hostage, and so he's gonna kill her.
And so then so then Tiger like freaks out and begins kicking all the cats in the balls and like slinging them off like rubber bands.
He's Bob Barker in those.
I mean, that's what he does. The first cat he kicks in the balls. He goes like, "Get your hands off my girl!" Ball kick, punch, and then he slingshots his other dude.
Also, we didn't mention that like Wiley has made him look like a dog. So Miss Kitty at this time is like, oh, like who's that dog down there?
Yeah, she's into him now that he looks like a dog, which is...
Well, to be fair, she had photos of him on her dressing room. Like, she missed him. She regretted her mistake.
Yeah.
Not mistake.
Right.
She
but even
regretted
in the beginning of the
west.
movie, when she first broke up with him, she was just like, I think I just need a cat that's more like a dog. And it was like, what? What does that even mean?
It means foreshadowing.
Yeah. So
now she's into him.
Yeah.
Even more.
So Tiger is like kicking all these cats, and they're going flying, and they're all happening to land right on the perfect side of the actually not the perfect side, on the mousetrap where where like the bar is. So they're all landing in this pile, and then Fievel, who has at this point gotten on top of the giant gun, cocked the gun like he knows what he's doing, and is aiming it at Cat Wall. And like basically forcing him to get on the pile too, right? He gets them all on the pile and then shoots the gun. Much like in the first movie. Like, let's get rid of all the cats in an extremely genocidal fashion. He shoots the gun right at the ribbon because he's expert aim and knows how to use guns at his tiny small range. Yeah, human guns. He knows how to cock them. He knows how to shoot them. And he knows how to aim them
and
with
has
precision.
the strength to do so.
Yeah. And he shoots the ribbon, sets off the trap, and all the cats go flying.
Yeah, they do the Team Rocket's plastic.
Yeah, and I actually, for a minute, I was like, oh, they're shooting them off into space, huh?
Yeah.
And then they come back down, land in the water tower, which you remember might have been a plot point.
They actually land
in a mailbag.
In the mailbag.
But it's hanging off the water tower.
Right.
Yeah. So the mailbag gets picked up by the train, and Cat Wall gets pulled up into the train car and back into the...
Well, no, first he goes... And
I was like, oh snap, this is going to be the sequel.
Yeah. And it might be. We'll see.
Yeah, it could
He
be.
gets pulled into the train car into this same
random bosomy woman.
bosom. And she starts going,
pussy.
And changes his outfit.
Yeah, and then puts him in like a baby outfit.
She takes his clothes off and dresses him up like a baby. Okay, so yeah, basically the mice and Tiger and the dog win.
Because of the water tower.
Oh,
the water
tower
breaks.
The water tower breaks, and then everything happens in Papa Masquer's dream except for Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel does not sing, but like flowers pop up immediately.
Yeah, upon contact with water. Yes.
Yeah.
Just add water to the desert. Why haven't we done this?
Yeah, so the entire town is now apparently a field of flowers.
No, we see that cut, and then it cuts wide to the town, and the town still, it's the same town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So yeah, everyone's all happy. Tiger's with Miss Kitty, and they're kissing or whatever.
Papa gets his fiddle back and immediately starts playing the only song he knows, which is the song from the first movie.
Yeah.
But then
it turns into a hoedown version.
And he's like, just kidding. Yeah, and it was pretty great. That was hilarious.
So then you just see... you see Wiley kind of just walking off into the distance all alone by himself, and Fievel's like, oh, yeah, this guy, and he goes and follows him, and they sit on a rock and have like this, oh, you just need to be yourself.
He has all these
hero.
platitudes.
That's his last movie?
That's his last movie.
Because the thing he says is he's like, every man's stone sets another man's dome.
Yep. He does. He says that, and he says lots of other things.
This
like,
was in 1991.
Yeah. And then
Hey, if you were born in 1991, Jimmy Stewart's talking to you.
That's right.
So Fievel. So I guess
that's the end of the
message
movie.
of the movie is that you should be yourself. But none of them were really doing anything that wasn't their self.
And then Fievel puts on his original hat.
Yeah, Fievel flicks his hand, and the hat flips back into the original hat, and he realizes that he's fine with his original hat. And then Tanya looks into her reflection, like Mulan status, but the animation is so creepy. She literally removes her face and puts it into the water.
That was weird. That was really weird.
It's supposed to be her wiping off the makeup, but it doesn't look like a reflection at all. It just looks like she removes her face like a mask and puts it in the water. So I guess she learns that she doesn't need to wear makeup or pursue her dream of singing in order to be happy.
Yeah.
Roll credits. The end.
Well, but then Tiger really didn't learn that lesson because he was able to get his girl and win everything by acting like a dog.
That's true.
Right.
So I'm not sure what the message
it's just a kids movie. Are they supposed to have lessons?
No, and and the plot points aren't supposed to make sense, but it's just like there's things in the movie where...
Did they know about lessons in 1991? Serious question.
Okay. What are your overall... I mean, I think it's clear that we all obviously didn't like this one as much as the first one. I think you guys maybe liked it a little more than I did.
I think that this one... the beginning is kind of rough, but once it gets to... once they actually get to the West, for me, I thought it was... really fun, but not as impactful as the first movie. It's not like an instant classic, but I wasn't like, oh, if my kid saw this, I would have been mad. You know, I would have been they probably would have thought it was really fun. But there's not any deeper level.
It's way more jokey. It's way more it's separating itself in a way in that it's going for laughs. It's not going for anything deeper or any of the, we were talking about how there's parts of the first one that made us almost tear up. It's talking about American land of freedom. And part of the thing that's frustrating is how much it throws that out willfully in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
That was my kind of biggest gripe.
And then the second part of it is that it does make sense that, if we're talking about this in terms of franchises and what makes sense, like you're going west, there was a real reason to do it. And there was a real history to that. And it's kind of shoehorned in there so that they can make Looney Tunes jokes about so they can do Wile E. Coyote things.
Yep. Looney Tunes and lots of characters just going blah, 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 blah.
And that's the thing that's kind of frustrating about it. And what makes the scenes where they try to have that same gravity and weight feel clunky as shit. Yeah. And I think that ultimately it's this weird. It tries to have its cake and eat it too, and it ultimately fails to.
Yeah, I would say kind of like what you said. What most disappointed me was just that there's so many stories to tell about the experience in the American West, and they just were just just don't tell any of those stories. Let's just take every trope and gag in a Western and make it with mice instead of there are plenty of Western stories to tell that they could have done, but I don't know.
Well, let's just talk a little bit. So it seems like we were kind of lukewarm on it, and overall, when the movie came out, critics and audiences were also pretty lukewarm. The first movie was really successful. This movie, not so much. Also, maybe very unfortunately for this film, it happened to premiere the same exact day as Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, so that's the one thing.
So that's a problem. So there was some hefty competition there for sure. And also, I know we didn't mention this at the beginning, but the great Don Bluth, he did the previous film, and he is not involved in this movie at all.
He started it.
Yeah, he was originally involved and then left due to creative differences, which
and I
everyone's favorite
Googled
word.
everywhere to try and find out what the creative differences were.
Probably they wanted to make a goddamn Looney Tunes movie.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So another thing related to Beauty and the Beast, and this is sourced in multiple websites, but I couldn't find from the horse's mouth source. But apparently, John Cleese actually turned down the role of Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast, which was written for him.
What?
He turned it down to be in Fievel Goes West.
Well, this was probably okay. Let's think that decision through. It was probably a bigger role in Fievel Goes West.
Spielberg decision, he wanted to do it because it was a bigger role,
and
because maybe he thought he would get to work with Spielberg. Or
American
something.
Tail was a big film at the time.
I mean,
it's a starring role as opposed to a supporting.
I guess
exactly,
so,
that's what
but
I was saying.
Wow,
he gets to be the main villain.
Yeah.
like hindsight, because that would have been great. Like,
I bet he thought all those
and
stupid puns were really funny.
David Ogden Stiers, who actually does play Cogsworth, he went on to become like a Disney staple. He is in like almost all of the 90s Renaissance Disney movies, and like still to this day gets to do stuff for them. So it's pretty hilarious. Tanya, her voice, Kathy Cavadini, is went on to be Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls too. So
yeah, they actually, for the second movie, they got a bunch of the original actors back. The Fievel was the same actor, so was Tiger, and so was Mama and Papa.
Yeah,
all the same people.
And then Amy Irving, who plays Miss Kitty, she also is an important role in Yentl, which the Papa voice actor is from Yentl too. And also, like, she was Steven Spielberg's ex-wife.
Right.
And he got married to somebody else, like, while this movie was being made, which obviously they probably didn't have to interact, but...
Could you tell, Tyler, that this movie was co-directed by H.G. Wells' great-grandson?
I did not tell that. I did.
Simon Wells? That's true. That's real. I'm not making this.
That's kind of awesome.
Making this.
So you're saying that you're saying that H.G. Wells' great grandson also directed We're Back.
Yes, yeah, and the remake of Time Machine, or that's adaptation of Time Machine.
That's Banana Towns USA.
But both. The movie was co-directed by Simon Wells and Phil Nibelink, I think, which is hilarious.
Phil Nibble.
But they were both also involved with Disney stuff, right?
Kind
of. They did
They did Great Mouse. They were animators on Great Mouse Detective, and then they also did animation
for Roger Rabbit.
For Roger Rabbit,
yeah.
Roger Rabbit, yeah.
So I tried to also find information on how involved Steven Spielberg was, which apparently is like not too much, but
he was making this in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. So I did find some story on the internet that said that the only main thing that Steven Spielberg did was come to direct Jimmy Stewart in the studio specifically.
Yeah, there's actually a few behind the scenes documentaries online from the time period, and they all heavily feature Steven Spielberg, of course, because he's like one of the bigger names on the project.
Yeah.
But they do show him in the booth, studio booth, like with Jimmy.
We'll tweet those out and post them out on social media.
Yeah, we can put them in the show notes for sure. But yeah, so the movie comes out. It doesn't do nearly as well against Beauty and the Beast. It actually gets pretty modest amount of money, 20 million, 22 million, I think, domestic.
Well, and I mean, Beauty and the Beast, like, oh my gosh. Like, okay, so the official beginning of the Renaissance is Little Mermaid, but Beauty and the Beast is the one that told you, okay, it's a thing now.
Right,
like, Little Mermaid wasn't a one-off, like, we're here, Disney's back, that kind of thing.
And it's funny because in some of the behind-the-scenes stuff from 91, they still are talking about how, like, and some of the reviewers are talking about how, like, full-length animated features are pretty rare, and they were saying, like, it was actually... at that time, it's not like now where there's one every 5 seconds.
Right.
At that time, they were like saying, "Oh, it's kind of disappointing that they're both coming out on the same day because they're going to totally split audiences." And so that seems like there's an alternate universe where it came out on a different day. And...
and the last time we talked about like the merchandising of it, this one had way more merchandising.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, there was video games, comic books, trading cards, Pizza Hut shit.
Yeah.
Nick Jr. contests.
Oh my god.
All sorts of insanity. But yeah, what else? What else were we going to say? Oh, we got to talk about the penis.
Oh, the penis, yes.
What do you mean the penis, says the audience.
That's me. I'm with you. I'm right there with you.
So, funny story. We're doing all sorts of research on this.
All I did was Google American Tail Fievel Goes West, and it was one of the first articles.
Yeah, so
that
in 2014, Jezebel posts this article titled, "Gah! There's a hidden dick doodle in American Tail." And it turns out that one of the animators put in, you know how there is all this stuff about there's a penis in the Lion King, or
or
it's
on the VHS cover of Little Mermaid in the castle,
and like some of
which there is,
some of that stuff you're kind of like
those are at least drawn to those peni are drawn to the style of the film. Where this is like,
I don't think that's the part.
This is
peni.
Yeah, look that up. I don't know. So yeah, this is literally someone drawing a doodle, like they said, of a dick. right.
It's like a pencil scrawled dick pointing at Tanya's mouth. When the cat is like raising her to his breast.
When she's got her mouth open singing, and then for a split second, there's a dick.
Is it like it's like on the wall somewhere?
It's
like
on his
shirt. But it's not even like animated. It's just like a black outline, like cartoon.
It's really funny too because
drawing of a dick. Like,
could you see it on the Netflix?
Yeah. So the Jezebel article like posits that it might be a hoax because we can't really tell. But I went and I couldn't get it to actually pause on it, but you can see it.
Just Justin Camp's.
You can.
I was doing this.
The Dick Hunter found it.
I know. I'm like, I see all dicks.
You can actually see the black line pop up. Like there's clearly something there.
I've got infrared sight for dick doodles.
Why's it gotta be black?
Because it's a drawing.
It's an outline.
It's just
Fine,
like
guys.
It's just like a pencil doodle. I don't know. But anyways, it's there.
Never mind. Okay.
You don't want to get into this. You don't want to get into this.
The mice and the bees.
We don't have. Yeah. We just don't.
Okay. So what is the title? I'm done with this movie. Do you have anything else to say?
No. Yeah. The movie was lame. Whatever. next movie.
Okay. What is? We're gonna now.
We're running out of steam real quick. There's 2 more of these. Like we're gonna just be like Steven. This is Jimmy Stewart's last movie. Steven Spielberg's involved, and we're like, fuck it.
Jimmy Stewart's in the movie for 5 minutes.
I know it's bad. I know it's bad.
Okay.
So
we're gonna predict the next movie based only on the title. So Justin, what?
So movie 3 in the American Tail series is called An American Tale: The Treasure of Manhattan Island.
Okay, Tyler, what do you think it's about?
Based on how this movie ends, what do you think happens? Like, what's going on here?
Well, I think that what happens is that the Mousewitzes go, the West sucks too.
Let's go back.
Let's go back.
I heard
they say, and then when they get to New York, they say, "We're back." And
there's dinosaurs.
And there's dinosaurs, and they're eating cereal,
that's a different
and it's
movie.
taking over their brains.
Different movie.
Do we know the year of this movie?
It came out in 1998.
Oh.
Okay.
It says 1998/2000.
I don't know. I don't know anything about.
So the Treasure of Manhattan. Well,
Manhattan Island.
Well, those are gonna be.
Yeah. What is the treasure?
It's gonna be. Oh boy, 1998.
So
I'm trying to go something topical, and I'm going with a Clinton joke, but I'm just not going to do it.
It takes place in well, no, he can't get that old, so it still has to be the 1880s.
He's
still going to have a dumb kid's voice.
Yeah, so it's got to be in the 1880s. Because I was going to say maybe it could be in the Roaring 20s, so that would make.
Well, there wasn't a railroad that went out west in the 1880s.
I know.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that they're gonna pretend like this movie never happened, and they're just gonna still be in New York.
Oh, really?
Either that, or maybe they find out that there was actually a second baby that they fucking left.
Maybe they go back to Tony.
No, they find Curly's gold.
No, Tony is.
They find Curly's gold, and then they
Green
move
River.
back to New York.
I refuse to accept that Tony in the West is
Watch
canon.
the movie, people.
No.
Tony Taponi.
Tony Taponi lives.
Put up a welcome
They
home sign.
abandon him in New York, and Fievel's gonna feel horrible. They're gonna come back and then find treasure.
Well, hopefully we'll find out in the next installment when they find all that Nazi gold on Manhattan Island.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to wrap it up for today.
Yes,
So thank you guys for listening. As always, you can find Sequel Rights on Facebook at facebook.com/sequelrights, on Twitter at Sequel Rights. And if you want to comment on anything you heard today or any episode, you can always email us at sequelrights@gmail.com.
We'll see you on Manhattan Island.
Goodbye.
Bye.